is the greatest threat to wildlife. Among his kind, there are those who are also their greatest benefactors. The Iyengar family of Bangalore is now 3 generations old, and whose compassion, understanding, and knowledge is often the key between life and death, freedom and captivity for many of our neighbors in nature. Man's encroachment on the animal's habitat renders the young and the weak abandoned or orphaned. Too young to fend for themselves as these 2 palm civets or toddy cats, they also face the threat of becoming too dependent on their human foster parents to ever return to their own environment and freedom.
Well, this is not a mini zoo. This is actually an animal rescue and rehabilitation trust. You know, we get odd animals, an orphaned animal, an injured animal, a sick animal. We bring that, we look after them here, we treat them, we nurse them, we feed them. And if they are fine, we put them back in nature. If they are not, we keep them here for a longer time. For example, now we have a loris. A loris came to us because a big tree in Lal Bagh was cut. And this was nesting there, and that became an orphan because the mother ran away, the young one was left there. Then you see a parakeet, which is totally blind because somebody took it from the market as a pet, and later on, when they kept it in a wrong way, the cat attacked and both the eyes were lost.
The children are all attention to this absorbing visual instruction.
Well, you see, this is called a long-nosed tree snake. We also call it a whip snake. And people always think that because of its sharp mouth and all, it hits the eye. You see even the face, it opens the mouth many times, and people say it hits the eye. And many people ask him, or they say it hits the head also. But in fact, this is a harmless snake which normally doesn't bite human beings at all. And even if it bites, there is no venom in this.
This attitude places on Srinath and his family the responsibility of knowing as much as they can of wildlife, going back even to those in prehistory. Srinath's father has lived in many remote areas of this subcontinent, and his compassion made him a natural foster father.
As a mining engineer, I used to stay in the reserve forest, and there I met a fawn which was wounded. I brought it home and began to tend it. Then after an hour or so, I saw that it was pregnant and it is ready for the time to deliver. And the same thing happened very quickly. So I got 2 now. One I had to tend it, and another one I had to feed it and keep it warm and all that. Just like that, the work started.
3 sons means 3 daughters-in-law, which poses the question of how they came to live among the creepy Crowleys.
This question which many people have asked. And you see, when the brides come, we used to question them. We used to show them this wildlife, what we have in our house itself about snakes and other wild animals. Then when they when they say that they are all right, then we used to bring them to the house, then we used to show to our sons. Before that, if they are afraid of, there is no use of bringing them to our house at all. And next thing that helped them is, my wife is also an wildlife lover, animal lover. So when she began to do work on these wild animals, and they joined with her and slowly learned it. There was no difficult to say so much about them.
Srinath's brother is a qualified doctor of medicine for humans, so his talent and training go naturally to extending help of a professional nature to the animals in their care, as was done for this Koil, who lost his beak in an accident. Today he is recovering noisily from a beak transplant operation. The beak union is taking and is nourished by the bird's own blood supply. Telephone calls to Srinath come any time of the day or night, and the panic-stricken plea is the same: rid our house or garden of a snake. Srinath and his brother move in calmly and purposefully. And one more terrified householder is rid of the unwelcome visitor. And one even more terrified cobra is brought to safety. Is it any wonder that the rich artistic talents of Srinath's mother and father tend towards wildlife? Srinath's father lovingly puts the finishing touches to plaster of Paris models. True to their code, the butterflies are faithful reproductions of the real thing in paper. The whole family are absorbed in one important task. Srinath, as advisor to the Karnataka Forest Department, has involved them all in installing exhibits, both models and live, for a mobile wildlife exhibition, the first of its kind in the country. This van, crammed full of exhibits, will tour the towns and villages, spreading the word of our rich wildlife. The plaster of Paris models have been designed and formed by Srinath's father. The van will also contain live specimens. Stuffed animals, and is equipped with video and film. Vikram, Srinath's 7-year-old nephew, helps collect exhibits for one of his uncle's numerous lectures and demonstrations. And the creepy crawlies are always the stars of the show. The forked tongue of this rat snake flicks in and out, gathering airborne evidence, which is then analyzed in the world's most advanced laboratory, the Jacobson's organ in the roof of the mouth. The pit viper, equipped with nature's incredible heat-sensing homing device located between the eyes and the nose, that can detect temperature variations of an astounding 3,000th of a degree Celsius at 2 feet. Military history enters the lecture with this monitor lizard, or ghorpa, whose unrelenting grip on vertical surfaces was used to scale walls of otherwise impregnable forts in Maharashtra by the great Shivaji. These sequences were shot at the snake enclosures in Bannerghatta National Park, and the snakes are not defanged or deglanded or in any way doctored to render them harmless.
Look, I am having a creature which turns men into monsters. Whenever a man sees a cobra like this, he gets so scared that he becomes a monster. There's an estimated 20,000 deaths of human beings of snake bite in India every year. The fang apparatus of this is so poor that before the venom action takes place, the person dies more of fright. This is one of the 4 poisonous snakes of India. Of course, you have the king cobra and the banded krait, which we seldom encounter. They also rarely encounter man. In front of me is the king cobra. the lengthiest poisonous snake in the world, attaining the length of 18 feet plus. The fellow in front of me is about 12 feet plus. There is no antivenin or the medicine if this cobra, the king cobra, strikes me. But nevertheless, you see, this is very cautious in front of me. It is defending itself, but it's not a snake to come down charging after us. In fact, no snake comes charging after us. And the truth is, the snake is as much, or if not more, scared of us than what we are with it.
Srinath's job with the Worldwide Fund for Nature lets him do what he loves most, telling our students about the wonderful wealth of wildlife in 3 nature camps run free of cost by the Karnataka Forest Department.
We have 200 species of snakes on land, 200 species, they're all different. And then we have about nearly 20 species in the sea. All these sea snakes are poisonous, they are very colorful. But out of the 200 snakes which live on land, there are only 4 which you have to be careful, which are dangerous. These are the cobra, the krait, the Russell's viper and the soft-scaled viper. We call them the big 4. Now, but if a poisonous snake bites a human being, what is the thing you should do? What is the first thing? One is a tourniquet.
Srinath is very insistent on getting the treatment for a snake bite victim across to his young audience, which we could do well to remember. The tourniquet can be any cloth or rope that arrests blood flow in the veins, but not put on so tight as to arrest circulation altogether. Keep the snakebite victim calm and reassure him. Any excitement will only hasten the spread of venom. Wash the wound in running water. Get professional medical help. Do not cut into or above the wound, and do not suck the wound. These youngsters get the message. Just as you wear a uniform to school, the forest also has a uniform. No bright colors, no soap, powder, or perfumes. The animals will smell you. The rat snake, quite harmless and our greatest weapon in the fight against the rodent that destroys 30% of our grains in the field and the granary. The villagers are told of a simple method to prevent being bitten by snakes on the dark country footpaths. Snakes have no external ears and are deaf to airborne noises. But they have a keen sense to detect surface vibrations, so a staff thumped on the ground will warn them and they will slip away. Srinath is a simple man. His love of nature makes him the animal's best friend. But in the long run, he is man's best friend, because it is now a global fact that only in their living will we not perish from this earth.
The mouth of the snake is free from any germ problem. Only problem is it's too small, but these are useful snakes which control the cross population and the fish population.